So UV stuff, right? Let's take an example of a torus.
Why are you recording it?
So that I won't have to come to your station and repeat it.
Oh.
At least that's my evil plan. Okay. So if I go to the UV editor, you can see that the way that this has been unwrapped is that it has one seam in here and one seam going around somewhere. So if I just go and grab the edge here, you can see that it has been cut open here, and that gives you a square, right? That is the default, yeah, for this.
Really weird.
No, it's actually quite great. But we have a couple of settings here. For instance, if we choose this, you'll get this shaded area, the blue. So when it's blue, it's pointing the right direction. If it's red, it's pointing the wrong direction. So for instance, if I grab this and turn it inside out, you can see it goes red. So that means it's flipped. If it's purple, then you have multiple things overlapping. That is, some of them the right way and some of them the wrong way. But a nice thing here is instead of this one, choose this one. And I don't know if it's clearly visible on the screen. Yeah, you can see it. This actually used to be in headers poly UV something. But this shows you how much stretching or compression there is of the UVs. So you can see that if it's blue, it is compressed, and if it's red, it's stretched. So if I grab UV here.
So everything should be white?
In an ideal world, it should all be white.
But it's never going to be?
No. So you can see if I scale, if I scale this down, it will go red for this, and it will go white the other way, and then at some point it will go red, right? So this is.
But isn't that only because of the pixels? How many pixels it gets?
Yes, you can put it that way. It's basically a question of how the area of the UV faces correspond to the physical size, right? So if I grab all of this and do an unfold here, 3D unfold, you can see it'll do like a warpy warp thing. So it'll try to even it out. So it is probably slightly better than the other one, but in return it's more difficult to texture map. Right? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's pretend that we didn't have any UVs on this thing, and I did what Johan thinks is evil sin, and apply an automatic mapping. Good. So I get this.
My eyes.
So this is what I'm getting. Good. I'll just turn off this color thingy there. So the automatic mapping has the option of mapping with different projections. So let's just take a look at what the results are for that. So you have a number of planes. This is like cubic 6, and the lowest thing is 3, and 3 and 6 should be something quite similar. They are very much alike. And then you can get where it starts to be at weird angles, right? So this is probably not so much what you want to see. So you can step through it like this and see where you get something you think is good. You see, this is basically the same for the rest. I think 3 is pretty great. If we take something bigger, it has the option of either fewer pieces or less distortion. And by distortion, it means when it looks at a surface, it will look at the normal in relation to this projection plane, and it will map to the plane that it's pointing at the most. When it's set to less distortion, it will be more likely to split up pieces to keep them their physical 3D dimensions. With less pieces or fewer pieces, it will be more likely to warp them a little bit to get them to be in there. And then we have layout and blocking, stacking, shape stacking. Shape stacking, at least in theory, should give you better usage of your UV space, because it will try to fit funny shapes into each other. You can see they actually fit quite tightly, whereas if you use block stacking, it will see each of these as a square and just stack them. Scaling, typically we want uniform. If we go stretch, it'll just try to move it into full, but then you'll get different dimensions on your UV's resolution. So, and then there's projection in both directions. So if I just go here and there. If I set this to less distortion, you can see it makes more subdivisions. So I'll keep it a fewer pieces, and I'll go with this. This looks sort of like okay for me. And then I'll pop in here, and what I'll do is I'll try to stitch up so that I get the 4 pieces in all. So I'll just go in and grab edge, and this is actually nice in I can't remember if it's in extension 1, but in extension 2 it is there, so that you can shift double click to select a strip.
It's in extension 1 as well.
Alright, and then go move and sew, and you can see it will extend there, and do the same thing here. You can also do it like this, and then G to repeat the action, and there should be 4 strips here. There you go. So that is 1, and then we have the other one here, so we'll go and do there, there, and there. So we have 4 pieces now, and if we look at how stretchy it is, you can see it's actually not too bad. But what we can do now is grab all of them and then do an unfold. Okay. So it also tries to stack this nicely, and you can see it goes more or less white, all of it, because the outer strip runs here is wider because these are wider, and the inner strip is shorter because they're shorter. So it tries to keep the dimensions nice and clean. So this is perfect for if you want to move this onto a 3D paint package, because you will get more or less pixel to pixel relations across. Just turn on this. You can see that the idea here is that the sizes of these squares should be more or less the same across a texture border, because otherwise you'll get like a ultra high lovely density texture here, and then blurry shitty texture here. So you want it to be enough. There's this sampling theory called the Nyquist limit that says that your resolution should be twice your sampling density. So that means if your closest rendering point is like here, and this should be HD, right? So this would be like 1500 pixels in your final rendering, right? Then your texture should have a density where this was 3000 pixels across by the minimum. That is the theory from sampling. Otherwise you'll be able to see things that flicker or do weird things. Another nice thing they added to this version, and it's because this is right on the border. When I turn on these here, it will open up the option of UDIM mapping. So if I just grab, I just take this, grab this, move that over here, and maybe take this one and move that over here. So these are now separate UV maps. So in the, if I add a material to this, actually just get rid of that, and just put on a simple blend. There we go. I can also, yeah. Then in here, if I add a texture file, it has this. Where is it? Why isn't it there? Okay, UV tiling. So you can set this to UDIM or also other options. But the idea here is that what you then do is you load a texture set. So if you took this into Mari, you could paint each of these texture areas.
Separately.
Yes. They would basically go into separate files. So this would be maybe 4x4K, 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 and then you could paint each piece separately. And then in here, as you in your file manager, you choose that set, which has a naming convention. It's like choosing a file sequence, and then it will be able to use multiple texture maps in one shader on the surface, right? So that can be.
So that could be ultra high resolution.
Yes, it's UDIMs are getting quite popular. This is sort of like the same idea as using a UV set, where you can have separate UVs for each texture. You know, if you set this to off, then in Maya, what you can do is to have the separate texture nodes, but they're hooked up to different UV coordinates so that they would be able to work their way. So that is another nice thing. But it's, I mean, UDIMs will typically be something where you paint it in a 3D paint app. So you don't have to take care of it.
I believe you can do that in Quixel as well.
No, I'm not sure if Quixel uses UDIMs.
Don't they? Maybe they don't. No, it's more for games actually.
But see, you can also, if you have something else, you can go in here and say use explicit tiles, and then you have here you can add extra tiles. So I can just go and grab some texture. Let's just go and say this one there, and then add a tile, and then go here and choose something different. There.
Hello.
Hello. And then go and grab, let's just go, doesn't really matter, just something. Okay, so now I have separate tiles, and I can just generate preview. Does it need me to, oh, I probably need to have the first one up here. Just grab that one. So, should be, oh, and they have,
You need to turn off the UDIM preview thing.
oh no, there is no UDIM,
Turn
up
on
here.
textures too.
Yes, yeah, true. There we go. Good, so the first one is there.
Yep. Now you just need to turn on the textures.
And it's on there. Then I just need to add these. So this should be offset by 1, I guess. And this should be 2, and this should be 3, and this should be 4, maybe. Yeah, it should.
So that is a bit weird texture.
1 went away, the gray one. Maybe it's because this should be 0, and this should be 1, and this should be 2, and that should be 3, and then go generate. There you go. Okay. So you can see now it will texture each patch separately with different files. So that is sort of the manual alternative to UDIMs, where with UDIMs you just choose the base file, and then the naming convention is a four-letter number that will define where the tile is.
So that's what you actually do when you do like environments and stuff.
You can do it on anything, basically.
Yeah, you can make it. It's very good to use in characters as well.
Because you can you can have a certain part of a character that is UV mapped all separately and have that in a separate file.
If you want something to be very high detail.
Yes. So, but basically you want everything to be the same detail. That's the thing. You don't want something to be much higher quality than something else. You want to have the same visual quality. That means, and that's where of course it gets tricky, is that if you have like a very small model beside a really big model, then you need to have much more texture resolution on the big model as opposed to the small model, because they will be, it has to do with how much screen space it takes up. You have to think about this Nyquist thing, that if you have something on screen, the density of your texture should be twice the resolution you're rendering at for the area it occupies. Right? So if you have, if we say this is HD, right? And this one is in here, so it takes up maybe 1/10 of the frame. So HD is more or less 2K by 1K, and if this takes up 1/10, then this would be 200 by 100 sampled, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you had to follow the Nyquist limit, you would have to have a texture on it that would be no less than 400 by 200. Does it make sense? Mm-hmm. And then the director come by and said, "Oh, I like to have it like that," and you go, "Fuck!" So you basically just want enough, as
So
long as
basically you texture everything in 4K or bigger.
you texture it in at least something that follows the Nyquist limit. And some extra for having freedom to do last minute thing. So you can also just crank up the texture resolution like crazy, and then just. But if you have to do something more or less efficiency, then you can do that. Other interesting things in UV mapping, Christopher, is if you are doing camera mapping, right? This is especially interesting if you're doing something like match moving. That is, you can map something from the origin of your camera. So if you have, for instance, have a video or a picture of something at a certain angle, you set up your camera so that it fits. Let's say this was a donut, right? A photo of a donut. Mm-hmm. Can I find a photo of a donut? Maybe I can. There we go. Donut. Let's see. There's some there. Just one of them. Maybe grab this one. This one is, or maybe that one is nice. Okay. It's actually a little low res. Maybe slightly higher res. This one. We'll take that one. View image. Images. Patriotic donut. Amazing. Donald Trump would be proud. Let's So I add this as an image plane. That would be in here. Come. There we go. So I should probably like make this a little smaller. Yeah. So I would place that in here, something like this. Of course, I could make it much more detailed like that. And then you can project that image back. You can also use what's called a camera-based projection. So if I do that, it will project from the direction of my camera. And if I then pop over to my material, and I'll just get rid of this one and add a new one, like so. And that would be in here again. It will, oops, why is it not, okay, it's not following the camera dimensions as good as the image. Let's see. It's because the image has a different format from my camera resolution settings that it starts to look funny. But it's basically a scaling thing. So I can just go and grab this. Just move
But
it.
if you already have a picture of it, why would you have to render it out like that?
Maybe you want to integrate something into your scene and it should look sort of like realistic, right? So you get this. Let's get rid of the image plane. There you go. So I have something that looks pretty much like a donut, and it'll work within certain limits, not within other limits.
If you want to use it for like parallax.
Yeah, it's also if you just need to occupy like background elements in a scene with something that looks real, then you can use this. Of course, you can take this further and then start projecting from more sides, and then you would start to work on it. But then actually what you wanted to do, this only works when you are working in this area because we have a lot of UV overlap. So that is sort of like the bad thing about this. If it's only a one-sided object, then it works fine. But for something like this, you sort of have the problem that you have UVs that are overlapping. But you can also do something similar to this, where you have it unfolded and then create a projection node and then project it and then bake it out. So you get this all over the place. You could also create two UVs in here. There is this thing called, let's see if I can find that, warp image. So if you do two UV sets, this thing and then an unfolded one, then you can warp it to the other one. So let's see if I can make that work. So what I need to do is create a new UV set. So you see I just have one, the default map one. So just go to UV and just do an automatic, but this time I will in here say create new UV set. So that creates another one. So I have the original one and I have the other one here. And for this it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. I'll just use it as is. And then I will go to warp image. And the source image would be my patriotic donut, and the other one I'll just call it warped. I will save it as a PNG. The resolution I'll put at 1024 there, and this should work like so. It takes source, which is map 1, and destination is UV set 1 there, and then I go warp, and I should have that one which should be, okay, let's just do this. Let's do a duplicate of this. Move it on the side, over here, and then add another texture to that. Whoops, okay. Just add a new material there, grab, file, and that one went into my source images, didn't it?
This is kind of smart.
Where did I put it? Documents, Maya, projects, default. Was it images? Yeah, warped. So it looks fantastic. Good. What? Okay.
Are you on the right?
I need to change the UV set for it.
Yes.
Of course. So I go to the UV set editor. It's down here, and then I need to see that looks correct. So I have to go to UV set editor. Sorry, window, relationship editors, UV linking, texture centric. File 3, UV set 1. There we go. So now it has mapped it. Of course, the back will still look funky, but it's now not the same as here. It's sampled to.
Well, it kind of looks exactly the same.
Yes, and that's the idea. But what you could do then was do the same thing where you projected it from the other side and had that in a different set. And then you could, in Photoshop, for instance, grab the good parts. So in this case, it would be like this area here. That would be the good part, and this area over here. And possibly some of this. And then if you project from other sides, then you could take those pieces and blend them together, right? So if you did this from like 4 or 6 sides, and then you brought it into Photoshop and stacked the layers, you could just erase out the bad parts, and then the good parts from underneath would come through.
Isn't it faster just to do a UV map in texture?
The thing here is that you're working from a photo reference, and you want it to look photoreal. It's super easy when you just need like something where it works within a small area, because you have to pay a lot of attention to see the warping out here, right? So as long as it's just like this, it'll work really well. As soon as you start moving outside that area, it'll start to break down. That's when you need more sides added in there. Okay? So, yep. What else we got? Interesting things. They changed the layout thing. I think it was the distribute node, and also the support for the UDIMs that is new. Auto seams, I actually didn't try this. Let's try this. I have no idea how that works. UV editor. I probably need to do it on.
Maybe you have to select something, like
Yeah.
edges.
It's thinking. Auto means don't do anything, just click the button, usually. Oh,
Yes.
Auto crash.
yes. That button I want. Whenever students ask a question, I can press that and go, oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Chris.
Could also just check up on what was new about this auto thing. Go, go. There we go. So what does it say? No help entry for AutoSeam UVs. What? Okay.
Søren?
Yes.
I have something.
Select and cut seams for the selected objects or shells. So So yeah, you have a question?
Yes. If you have a plane
Yes.
that's in cloth,
Yes, but that's not UV related, is it?
maybe.
Okay.
If you render it out, only one side is. I mean, if you want two different textures on each side on a plane, how do you do that? Because that uses only one UV system.
That depends. You can do different things. Mentor Ray actually has like a two-sided material.
Also, it's in the materials.
Yes. If we just go and say,
But couldn't you do the UDIM and then no on the other
no,
side?
it's the same UVs you get. So you need, you could set up a network that would detect if this was front-facing or back-facing. But I find that often with cloth, what I like to do is actually simulate it thin, and then when it's done, just extrude it like this, and have that extrusion be actually just be history. Because then you have these separate pieces.
History.
Yeah, then you have the thickness in there. So it's two different parts.
But won't the collision, if it's colliding with itself, for instance?
No, but this is something you add on top.
Okay.
But how would I do the UVs then? Maybe you would need to do like a warp thing. But I mean, you could set up something that would handle the front back facing thing.
Okay.
Let's just try it, then you can see. It's been 1,000 years since I did this in Maya. But what you can do is this. For instance, use a blend node. It's in utilities, blend, there. And you'll have red and blue. And then you need a sampler info node. There you go. And let's just have all of this here at the same time. Okay. There you go. So, and then you want the flip normal output to, the flip normal, you want that to go into the blender thing here. So that means it will know if it's front or back. I can't remember if it can actually do it in viewport. But it will render the one side as blue and the other side as red.
That was pretty easy.
Yes. I'm not sure if this will work if I'm using like hardware render or RenderMan, etc. See, this, it doesn't work for the hardware render. It breaks when it comes to what? It's something new it started doing. It's sort of a, when it crashes, it unloads RenderMan. So if I just add a PXR Disney, and then I could, in theory, this will work. I'm not sure if it takes all of these into account. See, it's blue on one side, that's good. And then it's black on the other side. Because what? Because lights, because let's try that, see what happens. Oh, not that one, that one. So it's blue on the other side as well. So it doesn't take the sampler info into account, but in RenderMan you can also do it, if I can remember how. Let's see. So we'll grab the PXR Disney, and then in, at least you could in race, but I would think that it also worked in.
But let's say if you have two different textures, two different.
Yeah, you can just plug them in the blend. So you see, this can be a texture also.
Okay.
So you could have a checker in one of them. Or, let's see. Let's see. Maybe it's. It might be that it has to be used like these SE expressions here. They can do things like that. So if I do this and go flow results, float, and plug that in there. And then I need to type in something here. And just 1 second, because this is PXISEX expression, like so. What isn't that the right PXISE expression? Okay, so it was another E in there. There we go. Good. It can do like a crazy amount of things. It's you actually script stuff here. So just see.
So and I got it to work.
You are a hero.
Yes.
Back face. See what it says. Well, I can look it up. It is possible that you can do it here as well. Oh, actually, there is this other material, isn't there? Called PXR Helium Diffuse, and that has a front color and a back color. So I think, actually I haven't tried it, but I think it should work. That you will get. No, it's. I think it looks like it's sort of blending together. Yeah. So it depends on how you are oriented. Or what? I'll look it up. I'll figure it out. Okay, this is far too long.